And we're live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Go the Writers. That's right. Tonight is our 10th episode, and we're going to be covering the 4th episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am joined here by my co-host, Paul Storrie. Say hello, Paul.
Hello, Paul. I am so excited for this episode. It's episode IV, so stick it right in my veins.
Before we get started, I actually want to touch on a different show. And I don't know if you've seen this show, but I was inundated with this show last night, and it's called Debris.
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, we're not going to go long on this show, but I wanted to mention it because, again, it's fresh in my brain. I watched 6 episodes of it last night.
Jeez.
I was hanging out with my best friend. I had a kitten laid on me and was stuck there, and she picked Debris, and we watched 6 episodes. It is kind of X-Files-ish.
Mm-hmm.
The whole premise of it is an alien ship came into our solar system, got hit by something, broke apart, and the debris is raining down on Earth. And each of the fragments that hit Earth, some of them are pretty big, all have properties that cause odd things to happen.
Okay.
For instance, one of them made older people young again, but they had to stay within a certain range of the debris. Another one would bring back like your fondest wish. And in this case, it was a woman who had lost her child. So a version of the child was suddenly born, but he was also kind of a killer. So, yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, I don't think anybody who's going to listen to me is going to watch this show because it is incredible premise. It's J.H. Wyman, the same person who created Almost Human, the Carl Urban, Michael Ealy show that was fantastic until Fox canceled it.
Tragically cut short and aired out of order, which was like one of those things you get into the later episodes and go, oh, that would have been good to know like 3 episodes back.
Exactly. Yeah, that show was fantastic. This show is not. This show is a great premise, executed poorly. Most of the actors look like another actor. It's like, you know the joke online where they say, they show Captain America and then the new guy and they go, you order Captain America from Wish and you got this guy.
Gotcha.
That's how the actors are. They all look just not quite. They look like somebody else. But they're not.
One of the leads, wasn't he on a bad guy on Justified for a while?
I don't know about that. I know he was on. I don't know any of these actors.
Okay.
None of them rang a bell to me. And the acting is so overly dramatic. It's like they're cramming in backstory for all these characters. And you're like, the backstories are obvious, and we're getting way too deep into drama before we've even established this world.
Yeah.
And you've got an American agent working with an MI6 agent, but nobody trusts each other. And all these different governments are keeping secrets from themselves because they're all trying to collect this debris to build something, but they don't know what. And they're finding all this stuff as they go along. And I will say that the premise was strong enough that I kept watching.
Mm.
But the acting, the dialogue was all cringeworthy at times.
I often have trouble with, it's one of those things where I should just stop watching because this is irritating me. Mm-hmm. But I keep wanting them to realize the promise of the premise.
Yes, that's exactly how I felt about Debris. I think a different writing staff could really make that thing soar. But I have a feeling that they also went cheap on the writing staff too, which is not fair. I don't know anybody involved here. I don't mean to insult anybody. There is a lot of good that could come out of the series, and it's just not. It's not there. So, all right, I had to get that out of my system. Sorry, Paul. You guys don't know that I was late, but I normally give Paul the link about 10 minutes beforehand, and we kind of touch base beforehand. But my nephew decided tonight was the night that he was going to try making paella. And, well, I wasn't going to pass that up. So I just finished. Yeah, I just finished having a nice big bowl of paella and a sangria, and I'm ready to talk deadly super soldiers.
What? Super soldiers? They're all cuddly and warm.
Oh, yes, yes. And Nazis. They're all the Nazis, according to Zemo.
Well, I take Zemo with about a, I don't know, cavern full of salt.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's like somebody posted. Okay, this is actually going to be the first thing I hit on here.
Okay.
Somebody posted, keep in mind the phrase, keep in mind, Zemo's a Nazi. Now, Zemo in the comics is a Nazi.
Yeah, sorta. Yeah. Because even the Zemo we know, his dad was a Nazi, and he's certainly
evil
and totalitarian. He wants to rule the world. Yeah. I'm not sure he's a Nazi, but he's, it's one of those like close enough that, he may not espouse the specifics, but he's certainly in the spirit. And now all the Zemo fans are going to come out and go, no.
I'm actually, at least in the TV version. But before we do that, I want to say that tonight's episode, we want feedback. We want you guys to join in the conversation. If you put something in chat, I will probably bring it up and we will talk about it. We'll answer your questions, bring in your comments. So we are short a third guest. So tonight the guest is you. So join us into the conversation.
Here, we can have another guest.
Never mind. I was going to ask. Yeah, that looks like he's got a little.
It was a weird Happy Meal toy.
Does it have a trigger?
It does. It does.
Right so in his crotch?
No, well, not on his. Yeah, well, sort of. Yeah. Now that you pointed out, yes. So you can do that one. So it
turns out it's a very Happy Meal.
Select, punch. Yeah, you know what? I've owned this for like 20 years and never really thought of it as trigger in his crotch.
Yeah, you put that right to the camera, and that's what stood out. The bright red button. Definitely a Happy Meal. Okay. I am gonna.
Yes, you are correct that Zemo in the show has never. And he even in this episode kind of goes out of his way to go like, oh, I wasn't sure of the politics, what was going on. Yeah. When I was a kid. Although when he was a kid, I don't know that his dad, maybe it's his grandfather or great grandfather would have been.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he does not come across in the show and in the movie. He did not specifically come across as any kind of Nazi.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole purpose of Hitler's whole ideal was to create a perfect race.
Right.
The blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan image of perfection. And Zemo is 100% against super soldiers to the point that he's actually got super soldier serum all around his feet, and he starts stomping on it instead of picking one up and saving it for himself.
When we get to that scene in our, I got something. Boy, do I have something to say on that one.
Okay,
not about
all right.
Zemo per se, but it's just like something that always bothers me about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that when we get to that.
So we're sort of in agreement that this version of Zemo would not be classified as a Nazi. He doesn't appear to be racist. So. He's got a lot of issues.
Yes, he is not a good man, in my estimation, but he has never professed any Nazi or
ideals,
ideologies. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and start walking through this as it happened. And if I go into an area that, if I get out of order, let me know.
In Wakanda before. Sorry, that was a really bad walk, and I haven't watched anything with him.
I will give you credit. I recognize that it was Walken and not Shatner.
Yeah. Oh, no, Shatner's totally different than Walken, but I'm not going to start that.
Yeah, Shatner has more
totally
positives.
different captain than the one we're not talking about.
Yes.
So, but I love that they started in Wakanda.
Yeah, that was really neat. Oh, okay. This also bugged me today. I watched someone else's review, and I'm not going to say whose review it was, but they went off. I won't even say the gender of the person, that to keep it as generic as possible. They were going off on the fact that they felt that they did all this stuff to save money. That yes, we were in Wakanda, but we only saw a campfire in the woods. So we never actually saw Wakanda, so they didn't have to pay to show Wakanda. And the whole thing takes place in abandoned buildings and stuff like that, again, to save money. And I'm like, most of the series seems to kind of dictate what the scenes are. I don't know of Disney to basically chintz on spending money.
No, they're saving money, which is why they had the whole big Winter Soldier scene, the dream sequence, in this big expensive hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
This wasn't a bottle episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the outlaws on the run, the flag smashers, are not staying in, the last time we saw them, they were staying in somebody's back room. This time they're camped out. That's what happens. And no, they're not going to have meetings in like busy, they're not going to have meetings in busy places because
terrorists don't tend to show up in high-rise buildings often and take over the conference room,
It's just everything has made sense. Plus, they're also trying to show that in a lot of, there were 5 years where everybody was struggling, and now everybody's back, but we don't know where, when, how, So I think that people are just, there's a lot of rundown places, which is one of the reasons why shelter is scarce.
Yeah, we're talking about displaced people.
Yeah.
So we're not going to end up in palaces. I mean, Zemo's apartment was nice. I've lived there.
Yeah.
And it's got the El Chapo exit.
Not currently refurbished palaces.
Yes.
Lovingly maintained, not likely.
Well, he did have the Turkish delight, though. It was ready to go.
Don't even get me started on the Turkish delight.
I don't know anybody who actually likes Turkish delight.
It's awful. That was my thought. These kids are so hard up, they can be bribed with Turkish delight. Like everybody read, the Chronicles of Narnia and went, "Oh, Turkish delight! It must be tremendous." And then I was like, "All right, here," and they went.
It's just like nougat, or it's just like chewy candy wrapped with fruit in it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's I guess. To me, it always tasted a lot like chewy cardboard.
Fair enough. All right.
Turns
out you can trick kids with it, though. Chewy cardboard's their thing. Chewy cardboard is their jam.
Yeah. We are jumping so far ahead now.
I know.
But I did love that they tied in AO to Bucky's cure, so that it wasn't just some random member of the Dora Milaje.
The Dora Milaje. Yes. I love that because I like the fact that it wasn't Okoye. It wasn't one we'd already really spent time with.
Right.
It's one we've met. It's one who had one of the best lines in Civil War, walking up to Black Widow going, "Move or be moved."
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And she carries that attitude over without a hitch at all. And I love that she's the one that helped Bucky, her and Shuri.
Yeah.
But we didn't need to see Shuri here. We got what we needed.
Yep.
And I thought it was just such a great scene. And the emotional range that Sebastian Stan had there, showing us that without really much words at all.
Yeah.
Just his face and then the musical score.
I missed the first time because he had his hands kind of up. he smiled. The biggest smile we've ever seen from Bucky since 1941.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like, but like he was, had his hands up around his face, but I went back and I actually rewound, and went, oh my God, look at that smile.
Yep. That was utter joy for the first time in 90 years? No,
yeah.
80 years?
Well, let's see, 42 to
To 2020. Well, they're ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're 2023.
He's 100. Well, he's 106. So
Right.
let's subtract. We'll just subtract 20 years off 106. So in about 85, 86 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's been miserable. So that was awesome to see. And then I love the fact that she says you're free. And then the very first line when we cut back to reality is, why did you free him?
Yeah.
Because like, we freed you. Why did you free him? You know?
Yeah. Because I think partly it was, she was saying, you're worth it. He's not.
Yes.
But the one thing that I really, that scene where he's like, we just need him, it's going to take a little while, and her thing is that he can't understand the shame and the stuff of you know, being a picked bodyguard who failed. And I'm like, oh, he may not understand that shame, but that man is like, how you can know Bucky at all and not understand that he understands shame. He was a mindless assassin for, again, like 8 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And I will argue that as he was falling from the train where he first died, he was feeling utter shame because he was trying to save Steve, and instead was a weakness. So
I honestly think, and there isn't much about, I look at these shows and I try to guess what's going to happen, or I try to see where it's going from a writer's point of view and from knowing the comics.
Yeah.
I honestly think that some of the scenes from the trailer are actually the ending of the show. And I think the media, finding Zemo at the Sokovian memorial, is Bucky's going to track him down there, and Bucky will turn him over to Wakanda. He won't put him back in jail. He's going to turn him over to Wakanda.
Yeah.
Because I think
it's bizarre how much of the promo material is going to be from the last episode.
Yeah. I think the throwing the shield around is going to be them after everything.
Right.
And them kind of becoming a partnership after the fact.
Well, even the scene where they're kind of walking along and it's like, we're not partners. We're not, it's like, that's probably the final scene.
I agree.
And it's so weird to me to see that.
Well, it could be, and we talked about this a little bit last week, is the cut subplot. If that is the case, that they had to do so many reshoots that they didn't have the material for the trailer, that they had to pull these innocuous ending scenes that look cool, that still had some action or important moments.
Yeah.
But it's like, we got to show those because we're reshooting all this middle stuff.
Yeah. Could be. But hey, it got me there, and it got me to, like I wasn't going to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
absolutely.
As a lifelong Captain America fan, I was really on the fence.
Yeah. All right. So they have their little meeting, and she goes, "You have 8 hours." And he didn't even try to fight her. Like, 8 hours is fine. I can do that. Whatever.
Yeah.
And but then they end up back at the Zemo's pad.
Yeah.
And God, I love that dance mix they put out.
Because really, I was surprised that so many people were so excited about. I thought it was funny, but like people were like, "Oh, Zemo dancing is giving me life," and I'm like,
But
he
then he let
does,
it be known that there was more
yeah,
footage.
yeah,
That's what started it.
yeah,
And then for them to put out an hour loop of it, though, I did the pre-show on
yeah.
Thursday night, and I just had that up and I let it run occasionally, just in the background, just you know. But so we're at the
He's very stiff in places too. There's
yes,
like moments where it's like, okay, he's got some, and then every once in a while he's like,
yes, yeah. It's not good dances.
yeah, yeah,
It's not Tom Hiddleston who can really move.
yeah. He's
It's
no Sam Rockwell.
yeah. It is definitely white boy at the club.
Yeah. But apparently he claims it's still not good, but Daniel Bruhl says that he's got some moves that he breaks out
Yeah.
at the club that embarrass his friends, but
Well,
are
he
more,
said he pulls in his Spanish heritage
yeah,
and does flamenco dancing and stuff like that. I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been awesome. But
even just
it
a
wouldn't
little
have been
bit.
in character though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't
All right.
know, if the Zemos might have moved to Argentina for a while.
True. That was a normal destination spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did love the that whole, were you followed? No. Well, how can you be so sure? Because I know when I'm being followed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. Um, I thought the conversation there was really interesting. The whole about wanting to be a super soldier is the first step into becoming a supremacist,
yeah.
and I I love how they're handling the politics in this series.
Mm,
Is that they're not trying to tell people what's right and what's wrong. They're showing everybody the sides, and it's pretty obvious what's right and what's wrong.
yeah.
But when you're listening to the person, you stop and go, hey,
Well,
they've got a point.
it's
And
very
then
much
later
like,
on, you go, but they're also a mass murdering killer.
right. Well, I mean, Zemo literally said, well, let's not litigate what may or may not have happened. It's like, we saw you shoot the guy.
That's right.
But it reminds me, a lot of Zemo's lines remind me of the exchange in the airplane.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about Marvin Gaye. Oh, it's the, consummate representation of the African American spirit. And he's like, he is out of line, but he's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh,
I love the line about that it leads to Nazis, Ultron, and the Avengers. And Sam's like, hey, those are our friends. And Bucky has to clarify, not the Nazis.
yeah,
Just in case,
just, yeah.
Nazis,
Well,
no.
because I've apparently heard that and I saw some actually screen caps of people going like, yeah, this John Walker Captain America's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting shit done. And it's like,
You might be missing the point.
yeah, you don't understand Captain America, you know.
Yeah.
But I just that the line though about let's not litigate what may or may not have happened.
Yeah. We saw you kill him. Yeah. Actually, you brought up a point.
Yeah.
That might as well bring this up now. My belief with John Walker, the difference between John Walker and Steve Rogers is that John Walker is trying to live up to what the American government wants and the beliefs of the American government, where Steve Rogers was trying to live up to the American ideals, not the government's ideals, but the ideals of the country of when we were founded, and the ideals that that we're proud of, where the violence and stuff that Walker kind of goes towards is more of where we've become, the image of America now.
Yeah. Well, plus, and this sounds like I'm playing apologist for Walker, and I'm really not, but Steve was an idealist who became the super soldier and never had to fight.
Yeah.
Like, whereas when Lamar and John are talking later, they've been in as they say, the shit.
Yes.
And they've had to do horrible things because they weren't super soldiers. They didn't have the the same wherewithal to fight the war like Steve had.
Yeah. Was it Erskine said a good man becomes, but was it a strong man who's always known strength becomes a bully?
Yeah.
Something to that effect. Yeah. Brian popped in with the actual line from the show. There's nothing to litigate. You straight shot the man. By the way, Brian, hello, welcome.
Thank you for stopping in, Brian, again.
Yep.
But yeah,
sorry you missed. Brian sent me a message right after I recorded the review, saying how he was looking forward to the review, and Brian usually chimes in, and I appreciate that. So we missed timing on that one, but glad you're here tonight, Brian. All right, so the little talk in there, and I love the fact that Sam called his aunt TT, and they're all like, "What?"
Well, I love again. Bucky is like, "What's a TT?"
Yeah,
and Zemo just kind of sits there and pretends like he's right along with it until Sam says "aunt," and then he's the one that goes, "Your TT would be proud of you."
Yes. I almost get the feeling that Zemo respects Sam because
Sam is a normal guy.
Yes.
In that world.
Yeah, and that Sam is trying to do the right thing. In a lot of ways, Zemo thinks he's doing the right thing for his people who don't even have a country anymore.
Yeah.
So,
even for the world. By the way, I feel that Zemo's argument about Nazis, Ultron, and the Avengers falls down in that, well, of course, skip Ultron because that was erratic programming. But the Iron Man did not build his suit to pursue power.
Right.
He built it out of desperation to stay alive. Thor, he was just born that way. Yeah. He didn't go seeking out godhood. Cap only took
Lady Gaga, he was just born that way.
Yeah. And Cap only took the serum because it was the only way he could join the war effort.
I don't think he didn't sign up to take the serum. He signed up because he wanted to do his part. There was no, we're going to make you a super soldier.
Right.
Erskine just said there's this, we're going to take you because you're a good man. And
it was after the fact that they told him, he wanted to do a part. Hulk was an accidental transformation.
Yeah.
And Widow and Hawkeye are just exceptional, normal people. So like this whole idea, the Avengers, they weren't seeking power.
Right.
But
power corrupts.
Yes. And which is the flaw in, Lamar says something later about power. And my thought was, what about that whole power corrupts? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
Not that in the super soldier. And the other thing is, like, Steve didn't want to be the super soldier. Even once he found out that's the test.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be the super soldier. He wanted to, the idea was they were going to test it on him. He was a guinea pig.
Exactly.
So
I thought I'd put the spoiler banner up just in case anybody pops in and goes, what do you mean he killed somebody? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So they have, no, but the idea of going to the funeral I thought was really good.
Yeah.
I think the Sam and Bucky scenes are all great. I think where we start having a little difficulty in some of the reshoots probably happened were the Flag Smasher scenes. There's a lot of what seems to be like ADR things being said off camera.
Okay.
Or
I didn't notice as much of that, but Yeah. I thought it was I did think it, by the way, we were talking about the Turkish delight.
Yeah.
And oh, that was actually at the end of that. So yeah, we're at the Patch Act, by the way.
Yes. It's
Um
not Wolverine.
yeah. I think that I I tell you though, every time, they were paying attention to the broadcast, every time I see reset, restore, rebuild, I think about reduce, reuse, recycle. I
Yeah.
just can't get like but
I'm sure they probably saw that sign, but we could do something like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and plus it's kind of creepy. Like all the people are like, on the signs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's definitely Big Brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they head over to the what is it? Displacement camp, not a refugee
Right.
camp.
Right.
Don't
The
call them
internationally
refugees.
displaced persons camp.
Yes, because they have nothing to take refuge from.
Right.
I thought that was a good line. But
Yeah.
I liked how you get the feeling that investigation is not these guys' strong suit.
Would make sense.
Yeah.
Bucky was like all his life, here's some orders, go and do it.
Yep.
There, certainly Sam. Now, Zemo did do a lot of investigation as part of his plot in Civil
Hunting
War.
down Hydra and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
So,
and Sam's been a pararescue guy. They don't, they don't go, all right, now let us put you through Sherlock Holmes camp.
Yeah.
So you can jump out of a plane and save people.
This scene brings up something that another guy online complains a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the smiling tiger scene the week before.
Yeah.
Is that every episode so far we've had Sam being recognized for being an Avenger. Here, the guy knows, I know who you are. The little kid on the street calling him Black Falcon. The guy in the Tunisian diner or in the outdoor cafe knew that he was Falcon. The bank guy recognized. It took him a second, but he figured out who he was.
Yeah.
Yet he walks into the middle of a bar with a pair of sunglasses on, and they all go, "Oh, that's just Smiling Tiger."
Well, of course, he was dressed as Smiling Tiger. He was hanging out with Zemo.
True.
So I think and suppose even Sam said, "Oh, this guy does look like me." Which every time somebody tells you you look like somebody, oh, you look like so and so, you go, "No, I do not."
Like you look like Nathan Lane.
A little bit, but not a great deal. But I mean, to me that passes the sniff test. Because there is that whole thing of when people, it's like the thing in every Private Eye book. They say, put on a ball cap and have a clipboard and you're invisible. Because people expect to see people.
Oh, Marvel and ball caps.
Well, that too, yeah.
They put ball caps on, Winter Soldier walking around, just put a ball cap on.
Yeah.
Cap's running from S.H.I.E.L.D., put a ball cap on.
He also wore glasses, though.
True.
Yeah.
He did take that next step.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Oh, just I'll throw this out too. I mentioned it on Facebook. You probably saw the post. But when this came out, a lot of people were referring to it as Falcon and the Snowman.
Yeah.
Because of the old 1985 movie with Timothy Hutton and Sean Penn.
I would be surprised if they didn't do that for some symmetry. Yeah.
But then to turn out that they actually got an actor from The Falcon and the Snowman. Oh, you didn't see this?
I didn't see this.
Nicholas Pryor played a small part in Falcon and the Snowman named Eddie, a druggie guy.
Okay.
Here, he plays Osnick, Zemos Butler, the 86-year-old butler.
Oh, wow. That's tremendous.
Yeah. And by the way, if for anybody wondering, Osnick is in Czechnian or Czechniev, whatever the Czech language is. I don't want to insult,
Czech,
means butcher. Yeah.
By the way, you were talking about people recognizing people. like they're going like, oh, it's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and nobody's like, that's fucking Zemo.
Yeah.
Like he killed the Wakandan president or king, rather.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going like, damn, that's Zemo.
Yeah.
He's a
Or how
bad
about,
guy.
isn't that the guy on all the news reports saying he broke out of prison?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And really, they're all giving Sam and Bucky the cold shoulder. But Zemo walks up to a bunch of kids, and it's not like there aren't some adults around, and no one says anything to him. Like, oh, here, children, have some candy, and no one's going like, no.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. That never goes wrong in the fairy tales, someone offering candy.
Yeah. So in that was like that's one particularly story problem that I had. I don't very often. I maybe I'm just not a good enough writer to spot the flaws, but that one just kind of was like whoop whoop.
I just liked him singing "Baba Black Sheep."
Yeah,
Thought that was funny.
It's so weird how in his Zemo voice, everything sounds a little creepy.
Yes, it does. It does. Now, I'm figuring they use the Turkish delight, and a lot of people point out that it's from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's what the queen uses, the White Queen or whatever it is, uses to tempt the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much Turkish delight as he wants. So I think that's why they use Turkish delight, just to, because they do a lot of nods to all these other shows. We've seen it. But
well, and it may be popular in Eastern Europe.
It might be. They may not be able to get anything else.
Yeah. But as for me, I will chew cardboard before.
All right. So Zemo gets the info, and they go back, and he only gives them part of the info.
Right.
Which I thought was Zemo. Because,
well, as he explains,
leverage.
First, I'm not going to tell you everything. Then you'll just chuck me. I did love the bit about the head tilt.
Yes.
He's just going to get you into that stupid head tilt thing. And Zemo just went, yanked his head upright.
It's like, damn, he's noticed.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've seen someone call Zemo out on his BS, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're doing a great job building Sam up, especially in this episode, to being the type of person you want as Captain America.
Yeah.
I think we see that throughout this episode.
Yep. And yes, he's insightful. He's empathetic. That's something he shares with Steve, is that he genuinely cares. Which John cares more about being Captain America. Steve cared more about helping people.
I'm gonna give John a little slack here. I don't necessarily think he cares more about being Captain America. I believe he believes in living up to the responsibility that he is given. And in this case, that responsibility is being Captain America. I don't know if he would ever have wanted or sought out to be Captain America. I think he would try to be the best at whatever job he is given.
Right. What I'm saying, and actually we're agreeing, but I apparently said it, was that his primary concern is to be the best Captain America that he can be.
Yes.
But he has a limited understanding of what that means. He's worried about being the Captain America, the going out and kicking butt and taking down bad guys. Because as they pointed out in the first episode that he was introduced, episode 2, Lamar had to go like, no, this has always been a part of being Captain America. Yeah. Like the glad handing and making people feel better.
Mm-hmm. He's a soldier who's used to getting the job done was the important thing. Yeah. His job right now is to stop the Flag Smashers and now bring Zemo back in.
Yeah.
And they're standing in his way of getting his job done in the way he thinks. And he's a blunt instrument. He's not a surgical tool. He's going to run in and fight, and that's his thing. Wait, Brian says, I think he's struggling with going from being exceptional in high school and entering a world where he's average at best. Absolutely. The scene where he gets his butt kicked by the Dora Milaje, and he's sitting there going, and they're not even super soldiers. That's his breaking point right there. That's where you know he's going to take the serum.
Well, and the thing is that he is too, his field of vision is too narrow. He can't look and go, oh, this is a squad of women who have been training their whole lives, working together, doing, in an exceptional setting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not surprising that they function the way that they did, even though they're normal.
He believes that being Captain America is wearing the costume, holding the shield. You get the respect. You are Captain America, and it just doesn't work that way.
Oh, and he did it again. Hey, John Walker, Captain America. He did the eh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that is part of. You're absolutely right. Part of it is that he's like, well, I'm doing the job. I should get the respect.
Yes. So, all right, we gotta somewhat keep on path here.
Yeah. Keep
going. We got the Flag Smasher swinging by the cemetery to pick up the vials, and I'm not 100% sure if all the vials were in the case. The case was set up two-sided, 10 on each side. There was 2 on this side, and we see the top row like it's double road, so it's 5, 5, 5, 5. Yeah. We see that side's all but 2 are gone, and that's the 8 that they took.
Yeah.
And on the other side, we see the top row of 5, but we don't necessarily see the 5 underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is that all 12 were there, but it is possible that it wasn't. And I don't think I saw 12 vials on the floor when Zemo smashed them.
Right. Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see if, maybe she has some set aside as bargaining chips or something.
Could be, or maybe.
I was just going to say, did you catch the fact that twice in this episode, the showmakers had to emphasize that Nazis are bad?
Yes.
Like I literally think that they went out of their way because oh shoot, I can't remember his name now. Was it Nico?
Yeah, Nico.
Yeah. Who's like, oh, my grandfather fought Nazis, so he should know.
Yep. It's also an irony of the fact that this guy grew up being a fan of Captain America, and then what happens at the end. The fact that he's the Flag Smasher that gets it. It's like, we almost should have seen it coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And boy, he's talking about, he starts talking about, Karli as a Captain America figure.
Yeah.
And boy, if he didn't describe Sam.
Yep.
Somebody that looks like them, someone who understands their pain. And I'm like, not that I have, for Karli, I think there's a room for a redemption arc. I do, she's not.
I would have agreed with you until this episode. Calling Sam's family and threatening them.
That really threw me. I think that she's fallen into the trap. But in other words, she hasn't actually done anything to Sam's family yet.
Right.
If she'd done anything, I still think it is not, that's not bad, but I just thought it was interesting. In other words, I'm not saying that someone like Karli, couldn't be Captain America, but the description that given about her by Nico could have easily been about Sam.
Yes.
That was the thing. That
Until he said that she's willing to do and needs to be done and gets her hands dirty.
Well, that actually I thought was both cynical and naive, because someone who understands that today's heroes don't have the luxury of keeping their hands clean. Oh, you mean unlike Steve, who fought in World War II to destroy Hydra? I seem to remember Steve, walking around. He was a soldier.
Yeah.
That was his. So I just, that idea. Now they were in a declared war, against the Nazis, but still, this idea that somehow heroes have always been squeaky clean, and not understood.
Right.
That,
Brian brings up a question that ties into where I was going to go on something. He says, how did she get his info? And that's been my question, and that's going to be my question, is who is Karli's informant? I think there's also somebody who told her that Nagel had either, well, if there is that old subplot, it was the vaccine they needed for whatever disease it is, but that they had the super soldier serum, or that pointed her at Nagel. And I think that there is someone backing them or helping them, and I still lean towards it being Sharon. But if there is someone who is giving her how did she know in the third episode, how did she know so quickly that Nagel was dead and that the power broker was going to need the serum back?
Yeah.
Karli had that info like that. So she's getting fed this information, and it's possible whoever her source is might have taken some of the super soldier serum for themselves.
Possible. I'm still on the fence about that because of her reaction. Karli's reaction was very much like, it's too late now. And if there's still some out there, I don't know that she would. I think in this instance, I think her knowing all this stuff about Sam's sister could be put down to the Flag Smasher network. I know they're not technically.
And Brian brings up my next point, which I was going to make. She was very specific about his backyard and pointed out basically exactly where she was standing at that moment in the backyard.
Satellite had the satellite images, but and I'm still, I agree.
You still want Sharon to be a good guy.
Now, Sharon is a good guy.
And there are ways that Sharon could still be a good guy. I'll just throw a hypothetical out there. What if she's working for Thunderbolt Ross as an agent down there for Ross, who heard about this serum, and she used the Flag Smashers to break in, got her share to give to Ross, because Ross would want some of that. And now she's horrified by what the Flag Smashers are doing with it, because they took the serum and they're kind of giving in to the impulses and stuff that the serum then enhances.
Yeah.
So she didn't think it would turn that way, but maybe she used the Flag Smashers.
It's possible. But I think I still have this sense that Sharon is working for the authorities in some way or not. But the question is, which
Ross would be the authorities.
Ross
Secretary of State.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's still a whack job, and she knows that.
Yeah, but if Fury's gone and she needs coverage, because come on, Fury was gone. Fury got blipped.
Well, right, but he's been back for like 6 months.
Yeah, but she's still there. Why is nobody reaching out and fixing it? Why did Cap not get her out in the 5 years between the snap and the blip?
That's it. It's going to be interesting because, I assume my assumption there is that the reason Cap didn't get her is Cap didn't know where to find her.
My assumption is that Cap didn't get her because she didn't want to be gotten.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He couldn't.
Yeah,
that's what and that ties in that I think that she was not just.
But you're assuming she doesn't already have a pardon. And she's just going along with the story because that's where her cover is. Because Cap would have gone out of his way to get her a pardon. And she wouldn't have needed to be found. Yeah. So
it'll be interesting to see where they go, because I think that Sharon is fully in the clear. She's using the I'm on the run thing as a lever against Sam, because we did have a lot of talk about leverage this episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it all comes down to Sharon is involved in many ways. Just to whom is she answering to? Yeah. Or how many different people is she answering to?
Yeah.
Is she working for the power broker and the authorities?
Yes.
And
or is she the current secret director of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something?
Yeah.
There's my wild speculation that I have refused to do up till now. Like,
and maybe the power broker is like the Dread Pirate Roberts, and it just gets passed down, and now she's the power broker, as just.
And that's one where we'll definitely see when the show ends, but I cannot reconcile Sharon with being the power broker, even this version of Sharon.
Yeah, neither can I. I can see her
winding me up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it is possible. Is it probable? But yeah, theoretically.
They apparently, and gosh darn it, I'm going to forget his name again. The showrunner, Malcolm
Spellman.
Right. Just said that there's going to be a Marvel Comics character played by a famous actor that's going to show up in the show.
No. By a famous performer.
Oh, good.
He didn't say actor. So it could be a singer, a comedian. It doesn't have to be an actor.
Right. Fair enough. But
we get Lady Gaga as Storm. I don't know.
By the way, I think we're going to find out, as I said, after seeing the X symbol, that doesn't at all stand for no stopping in Europe.
It does actually.
All along.
Yeah, I've seen actual photos of that in the wild. Yeah. That symbol. So
what we're going to do is there's going to be some guy is going to, like, in the displaced person camp, will like pull off a wig and he'll be bald, and it'll suddenly be James McAvoy.
Yeah. Good evening, Jamal. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you.
Yes, and I'm sorry that the first thing that I said when you entered was absolute nonsense. I don't believe it at all. But nice to see you. Thank you for coming.
We've been doing 53 minutes of absolute nonsense, so you didn't miss a lot. All right, so getting back to the plot.
Yes.
We see the funeral.
We didn't talk about the whole idea that S.H.I.E.L.D. should be destroyed. It's a symbol of that's another echoing of the S.H.I.E.L.D. should be destroyed that Sam had said in the previous week. Yeah.
And I think that's because of what the S.H.I.E.L.D. is starting to represent in the hands of somebody who doesn't know what it means.
Yeah.
Well,
if it's just something that's just handed off to the next guy, then yeah, I think it loses its meaning. But yeah, this idea that somehow, because of course Captain America is always about, as you were talking earlier, I'm not about the government or the policies. I'm about the ideals. And that's the thing, is that S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't supposed to be for jingoistic purposes. It's supposed to be for inspiration.
Right. I think I know who the cameo is.
Uh-oh.
Just play this out.
Okay.
Walker's standing there. It's the opening of episode 5. Walker's standing there. He's holding the bloody shield. Up walks this very old man in a brown fedora, satchel on his side, whip on his hip. He looks up and it's Harrison Ford. He goes, "That belongs in a museum." And he just walks off.
Sure. I can see
Disney owns the character now. He was printed into Marvel Comics. He is a Marvel Comics character.
There you go. Fair enough. Because you know that there's nothing that Harrison Ford seems to love better than to just, milk every little drop out of those the
Harrison Ford showed up in the Jimmy Kimmel video about him effing Ben Affleck in that whole "I'm doing it, Matt Damon, I'm doing Ben Affleck" video thing with his ex. Harrison Ford showed up in that. Okay, this is not beyond Harrison Ford if he thinks it's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so
hey, Jamal liked it.
Yeah,
Jamal liked it.
Well,
I'm doing good work here.
You see, the audience so much better than
I. Okay. Yeah, and he agrees that Harrison Ford is a Marvel and Lucasfilm character now.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome. And boy, would it break the internet.
That is true. But
yeah. All right. So where were we? We were. So she wants to break. She doesn't see. She thinks the shield has become a symbol for everything that's wrong in the world, and she wants to see it destroyed.
Yeah, she's saying it's a symbol of everybody that got left behind, historically. And I thought it was, but that jumps us to the alley scene where
wait. Brian says he has a tinfoil hat theory that the cameo is Molnor, that Walker won't be able to pick it up, is what I'm thinking.
It's pronounced meow meow.
Yes, Darcy does pronounce it meow meow.
Mjolnir. I say that because I had to be corrected when I was a full-grown adult because I had been mispronouncing it my entire life. But
Jamal says Indy would be 100+ years old by 2025. He'd be a contemporary of Bucky.
Yes, but not having and we don't know
That's right.
Between like the mid 50s and now, maybe he was.
He might have found an Aztec amulet, or
he was locked in a lead-lined refrigerator that saved his life.
That's right.
So you never know.
So the alley scene where John Walker returns.
I loved how when Sam is like, "Hey, maybe if there's any time to reason with her, it's now," and Walker's response is, "What? No, wait, no, stop!" Like it just doesn't occur to him.
Yeah. And basically, Lamar is his Jiminy Cricket. I mean, he has to go. No. And I love the way he delivered the line, where he's like down like this. He's like, "Hang on a second, John."
Yeah.
And he's like kind of building himself up to disagree with him.
Yeah.
This is. I really like. I like Clay Bennett's performance. I think he's really good.
And it ties in again with the Star Spangled Man episode, where he was the one that finally kind of talked John down to go out. It's I think it's interesting, but the fact that the word reason came up and he's just like, no, it's like, absolutely not. Talk to people. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, and he's ready to pick a fight with any of them.
Oh gosh, the thing where he did with Sam.
Yeah.
Which I lost track of, but that idea, like, oh, you want me to set it down so it's even, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like, no, it must be later because I know.
Yeah, it is later. It's
when I wrote down the line that Sam. So yeah.
Yeah, it's after the scene coming up. It's a little bit
Yeah.
later. But I do like how the fact when he first starts going off and Sam's like, dude, let's calm this down before it gets weird. And the choice of the word weird was kind of interesting, you know, because it wasn't like before it gets too heated or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just weird because I think that they're kind of looking at Walker as being off kilter.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
and
his
also
reactions
weird
aren't right.
in that Captain America, admittedly, he's only assuming the role, but Captain America screaming at Bucky, who can kick his ass.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's what Sam was getting at. Like, no, the Cap doesn't yell at Bucky. Bucky could take
we don't need to see Bucky kick your ass in the middle of a town, even if it's in an alley. Yeah. And how he's constantly trying to shut down Zemo and they're like, no, Zemo's getting shit done. You're not.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting too when Walker got in Zemo's face. He's like, I'm sure we'll all come to an agreeable conclusion, which the only agreeable conclusion is Zemo's all the super soldiers dead.
Yes. Though, but he did, that's later on, but Sam does ask him, well, what about Bucky?
Yeah.
You know?
And Zemo is definitely, Zemo does not say anything because for Zemo, it's obvious that he means Bucky too.
Yeah.
No, none of them left. And really what Zemo, with all his talk of supremacy is, and Sam kind of points it out to him later, but Zemo's a human supremacist.
A lot like Magneto is when you read X-Men comics.
Yeah.
You know,
or Senator Kelly in the X-Men movies being like, we need to lock up and round up and mutants and label them and all that stuff. But
I got to tell you, whoever in the writer's room is dealing with Zemo's dialogue is just spot on. Every word he says, even the throwaway lines, like when Walker decides to handcuff him to the boiler, and his response is aggressive, but I understand. It's like,
Well, and we see how well that worked out.
Brian says, Magneto confirmed. You heard it here first.
Yes, that's John Walker's going to tear off a face mask, and it'll
be Michael Fassbender, but it'll be half Michael Fassbender, half Ian McKellen, just to really do it right.
Well, it'll be Michael Fassbender, but then they'll have Ian McKellen of the voice.
There you go. Go. That's how they're doing it. Definitely Magneto confirmed. Let the people know.
I did one thing about Zemo. He does know how to up the game, because he went from Turkish delight to giving the kid a lot of money for her family.
He did.
I'm like, yeah, okay, now there you go.
I have to stop myself and remember Zemo's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely doing Killmonger to this guy, where you're like, yeah, Killmonger did these things, but at the same time, you kind of understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Karli. When Sam says, I understand your motivations, but I can't get behind your actions.
Right.
You know?
So I thought it was very interesting because when they got to because the memorial was next, and we had Walker with his, well, you got 10 minutes, then we're doing it my way.
Yeah.
And he's just he's wound up, he's twitchy. I mean, I think Walker has PTSD.
Yeah, something, because I thought he had already taken the serum at that point. I thought we were being lied to, that he had already, because the anger and rage problems he was having. But yeah, it had to be like PTSD or something.
But by the way, you notice I have not gloated on the fact that you were wrong and I was right.
Oh, about him being
He
Yeah.
had not taken the super soldier serum yet. But
you can see why I was.
Yes, but I'm just saying I resisted the temptation. I'm not saying I told you so now. I'm simply saying I've resisted the temptation to say I told you so.
And by doing so, you pretty much said I've told you so.
Oops. Or maybe I should have gone full.
We're going to give you that one. We're going to give Paul a point for that one.
Yes. And then take 2 away for decorum.
But yeah, he was definitely not well. And okay, but let's stop for a moment and appreciate Wyatt Russell's performance.
Oh, such a bravura of performance.
Yeah.
And apparently some people are having a hard time separating the fact that the actor is not the character. He's getting crap online.
I get why they picked Russell. The guy is brilliant.
Stunning to me. I watch him and I go, I hate that guy, but I'm very clear that I hate John Walker.
Yep. Yeah. It's just he is doing so. I mean, Jamal agrees with us. Russell is good. Yeah.
Yep.
The guy is phenomenal. I mean, and they could not have picked. I don't think they could have picked a better actor to play this guy. I mean, I've heard stuff like they've referred to him as Party City Captain America or Walmart Captain America. I've heard just horrible, but again, I think most people can separate, but there are some people who are having an issue separating the character from the actor. The actor is brilliant and should be applauded, and I think he should be considered for, I guess an Emmy would be the right thing for this case.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is like, I think David Tennant in Jessica Jones as the Purple Man, horrible, but he got famous doing Doctor Who, so people didn't have so much trouble with it. Whereas Russell, is not. I wanted to say Walker, and I'm like, that's not it. But Russell is not famous for a particular role yet. So this is his star turn,
Oh yeah.
And
I hope that he survives this series. That he ends up being U.S. agent at the end of this, because I think he'd be an interesting addition to the series, to the MCU.
Yeah, I agree.
He'd be a waste of a damn good performance if they killed him at the end.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was funny though that with Walker's like, then we're going to do it my way, and I'm thinking, oh, that's funny because your way has yet to work. Like most of your progress has been riding on Sam and Bucky's coattails.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jamal says, I hope he stays around as U.S. agent. We don't have a character like him in the MCU who's not a god. Yeah, he's a flawed man. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think he's an interesting character to the MCU and could be brought into a lot of different shows. Yeah.
Well, and actually end up kind of filling that, filling the government guy,
the government heel. Yeah,
the guy that the government sends when things are going screwy.
Yeah.
So, but we haven't gotten to the memorial yet.
Right, the memorial itself. I've heard a lot of people equate what Karli is saying to being similar to what Sharon said at Peggy's funeral. That there's kind of that same feel to it about standing up and standing your ground.
That's interesting to me because all that maybe this is a character flaw in me, but after a while, especially like when I watched it the second time, I'm like, dang, all I'm hearing is us versus them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we're righteous, they're bad. For a group that keeps saying that there are more shades of gray,
mm-hmm. We should all be together. We should be one world.
Yeah,
but they're pointing out the other people a lot.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And as they point as we learned, the guy who had just joined the GRC, who died and left behind a wife and 2 kids,
Yeah.
like that guy did not join that guy did not join the GRC to oppress people.
No, he got a job.
Yeah. So I thought that was a little bizarre. That well, no, not bizarre. I just thought it's this study in contrasts where, like, every time somebody proclaims their righteousness, like Sam never proclaims his righteousness.
No, quite
Karli
the opposite.
Does, John does, but Sam and Bucky is like, righteous, I'm the farthest thing from it. But Sam is there going like, maybe we need to try and figure out how to turn down the heat here and take care of people. Because as we learned in the first episode, he's a rescue guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we get the whole thing about him dealing with soldiers with PTSD, and
yeah.
So he sees that Karli's hurting and just lost Mama Danya.
Yeah.
And I thought the conversation and his body language in it, where he sits down and actually turns his back to her in a vulnerable move to open up to her. I thought that was brilliant. Just the way he was using his body language and stuff.
Yeah.
And really got a good conversation going. And if it wasn't for Walker, I don't know if he could have brought her back from the edge, but maybe.
By the way, we were talking about Walker and how much we like Clay Bennett's performance as Lamar. Like, every once in a while I just go like, they gave the wrong guy the shield.
Yes.
Like even if as Battlestar he has a nice little logo that he puts with it. But man, like Lamar, I'm like, listen to Lamar. Lamar knows. Apparently Lamar understands Captain America better. Although he did still say, "Oh yeah, I'd take the serum right away." But that's coming up later. Yeah. I love that Karli acted like Sam maneuvered her, which he sort of did, but he didn't maneuver her for him to say gotcha. He maneuvered her so that she saw what she was saying.
Yes. This was a great episode for Sam.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form, from his ability as a negotiator, his humanity, his brilliant, being able to figure things out, to his actually fighting, because again, he's the non-super soldier,
right?
But he's able to hold his ground because of his training and how he uses his suit.
Yep.
He's
I loved the move where he leaps back and like just enough so that he uses the jets just enough so he ends up back on the table.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, he's got such finesse with that suit.
Yeah.
That it's stunning. I mean, it's really good to see. And we did get, well, I'm jumping ahead now, but I did like the kind of the moment of Walker and Falcon working together. It's like, oh, it's Cap and Falcon again. Though it's not Cap, but you got that quick moment.
There was that moment, and then my skin crawled.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, oh no. Because Walker, Walker is he's buckling under the pressure, and he's talking about how Karli's gone over the edge and stuff, but meanwhile he's like driving towards the edge himself, kind of. It's like, oh, she can't be trusted, she went cuckoo. And but yeah, we had the superhero parkour. And then Zemo once again popping up to prove the only good super soldier is a dead
super soldier. But let's not forget that one of the advantages of having 23 movies and one other series already is that you can do something as simple as show an empty pair of handcuffs and everybody just go, of course Zemo got out of the handcuffs. Yeah. You don't have to actually show how he did it.
Yeah.
That's just Zemo. Of course he did.
He got out of a high security prison.
Yes.
With the only help he got was Bucky drop this note.
Yes.
Like, so, yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh no, how could he pick the lock on handcuffs?
Of course he can.
Yes. Yeah, and what was it he said to Selby? Oh, people like us always find a way.
Yep.
But
all right, so let's talk.
I thought, by the way, did you think when Karli went over the table the first time through, I thought, oh, why did she leave? I thought she was going to retrieve the vials and she had left them on the table. And it was only on a second viewing that I realized that when she was checking her wound,
she was shot.
She realized that the belt was gone, that it came off when she went over the table. But like initially I was like, why were they sitting there? But they weren't.
But the fact is that we don't question how Zemo got out of the handcuffs, nor where he got the gun. We just go, of course, it's Zemo.
Yeah. Well, where he could have gotten the gun? It could have been Lamar's gun that Walker did not bother to. That bothers me so much when I watch an action movie and somebody's like, oh, there's a gun on the ground.
Yeah, that was later.
Was it?
That was later.
Oh, right, because they hadn't. No, because you already talked about Walker and Falcon together.
Yeah, I jumped ahead. This is still
all right.
He got this is this was back at the memorial.
But and yes, there's no question to me that Zemo had no trouble finding
it. Was probably in the Turkish Delight canister.
Yeah.
That's why he I could use these as well and pop the gun. But you said you had something you wanted to bring out when he started stomping the
thing. So he has stomped all these vials. Walker takes the last one, sticks it in his... Oh, hey, you know what you could also do? Pick up any rag and soak up the serum, put it in a plastic bag, and take it to the lab to analyze.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it drives me nuts when people do that. It's like, there's like, this is the only thing, and they smash a vial or whatever. And it's like, unless it's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where it was like he had to take it right that second.
Yeah.
Like, soak it up. Do something, get a sample and take it back.
Or you're saying that there's not even a tiny little bit sitting on a piece of glass, like it didn't, pulled in one of the ends or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, and then when the other guy goes back, he's like, oh, it's all gone. I know I'm jumping ahead too now, but like, come on, people. When it's supposed to be.
I love Sam and Bucky walking in. Sam's like, what'd we miss?
Yeah.
And the shield to the face.
Oh, ow.
Oh, man. I felt for Zemo at that moment. Like, bling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're kind of surprised that he survived it all.
Yes. But you see him later laying on the couch with a rag over his head.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
So again, I thought I will admit, and Paul was right. I thought Walker had already taken the serum, but of course, when he walked up, you're like, he's gonna get the last one.
Yeah,
that was so telegraphed, and
I thought there would be two. I'll be honest, I thought there would be two, and Lamar would get it.
Lamar gets it in the comics, but they have other plans for Lamar, of course.
Right. We don't want to jump ahead there, but we do need to move along.
Okay.
Right?
Jamal asked the same question I asked earlier, which is, did you count the vials? There are 7 or less that Karli had. There are 7 super soldiers. So where is the rest of the serum? There are 7 that we can see.
Actually, there's 7 plus Karli.
Well, no. There's the 8 Karli took.
Right.
And then when she pulls out the fanny pack and opens it, we see 7. But the way the fanny pack is designed, and I was explaining this earlier, Jamal, is that there's double rows on each side. So on the right side, we see the 8 open slots and the 2 at the very bottom of the second row. And then we see the top row on the other side. So there is possible the other 5 were in the second row on that side and that they got destroyed. But it's also possible that there were empty spots. And it did not look to me like there were 12 vials smashed on the ground.
Floor. Yeah.
So I think it could go either way. We're going to have to say, I can't verify that they are all smashed, but I can't say that they aren't.
Yeah. We're certainly supposed to believe that they're all smashed.
Yes.
But yeah, I am tempted to go back and try and freeze frame and count and check the number on the floor and all that. But
exactly.
And that moment though, actually where Zemo held the serum just long enough for you to go, no.
Yeah.
Because I could see Zemo taking it to then, after it was over, end himself. Because after he got everybody else. But
no, I think that's him being true to his character.
Right. But there was just enough. There was just enough hesitation, just enough look on Daniel Bruhl's face that we were like,
he did give us that pause. But okay, so that was the takeaway from that scene. We end up back at the Zemo pad, and there's that moment where Zemo asks Sam if he would take the serum, and without hesitation, he goes, no.
But I did notice too, Zemo, and this ties back to what we were talking about normal human supremacist. He said, Zemo referred to real people as if somehow having some sort of power, any kind of powers, makes you no longer human. And I did love Sam coming back with him when he's like, super soldiers cannot be allowed to exist. And Sam's like, isn't that how gods talk? Yeah.
Don agrees. He says, I knew Zemo would destroy it. It's his purpose in life, reinforcing his agenda. And I agree with you, Don. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to destroy it. But that pause had to give you just a quick second of, what would a superpowered Zemo be like?
Yeah. My favorite Sam line of this episode. Walker busts in and Sam says, shield or no shield, the only thing you're running in here is your mouth.
Yes. Yeah. But I do like how Bucky comes in first and calls him crazy. He says, because I'm crazy and I know crazy.
Yeah. But that's when we get John going like, oh, come on. I'm frustrated because everything's gone wrong. So beating up Sam is going to make it somehow better.
Yeah. I did have a moment that bothered me in storytelling.
Yeah.
And this is kind of stuff that I always catch because I just see these things. Bucky walks in and takes his jacket off for the first time all episode. And of course, we're about to get him have his arm fall off, which wouldn't have looked as cool if it had to fall through the arm of a jacket.
Right. Yeah, so, it was definitely because it wouldn't have fallen. Yes. It would have just slumped and it would have looked like she dislocated his arm.
Yes. So they had to have him take the jacket off, but it just felt it felt forced. But
no.
yeah.
I felt like Sebastian Stan sold the frustration as he was talking, but from the writerly point of view, yes, I get what you're saying entirely.
Yeah, and by the way, I've been noticing those kind of things since I was a kid. Real quick side story. I went to see a play with, I think his name is Anthony Geary, the guy from General Hospital, Luke and Laura from General Hospital. He was playing a terrorist, and he had a shoulder holster. And then at one point, he's like playing with his gun, and he tucks it in the small of his back. And then later on, somebody pulls it from the small of his back. And it's like, and so we did a Q&A afterwards because we were students there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I noticed that you moved the gun to the small of your back. And then later on, and I just see Anthony Geary turn around and yell off stage, God damn it, I knew somebody would see that.
Yeah. And really, the weird part is all they had to do was never have the shoulder holster.
Yes.
And, you know, he takes the gun out, he checks it, he puts it back, so you know it's there.
Yep.
It's Chekhov's butt crack.
Yes, yes. So Brian says A literally disarmed Bucky. He did that. She did. That was absolutely so.
I love Sam. Did you know she could do that? No.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Jamal suggested a Super Zemo could lead Thunderbolts in the MCU as Citizen V.
Yeah.
But U.S. Agent could lead the Thunderbolts too.
Yeah. And I actually think the Zemo from the MCU would not lead the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. He's different.
He hates supers.
Yep. Yeah. Zemo in the MCU is very different than Zemo in the comics. I think we're going to have to accept that and stop trying to fit him into that peg. And I'm saying everybody's doing that because we think about he started the Thunderbolts. So yeah, but that's not the same character as we're getting here. The one we're getting here is awesome. And the one in the comics is good, but they're not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, it would be cool to see Zemo leading a team of Thunderbolts. I love the Thunderbolts, the original version.
Yeah.
But, and now, dun, 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 Dora Milaje.
Yes. That was such a good scene. And I do love the AO gets the best lines. The Dora Milaje has jurisdiction wherever the Dora Milaje finds itself.
I loved when Walker once again was like, the Dora Milaje don't have jurisdiction here. It's like, neither do you, asshole.
Yeah. I mean, you're in Latvia. Why does Captain America have, unless the GRC has some kind of global, because he does seem to be working with the GRC.
It does seem weird that the flag smashers who are against borders are fighting the global repatriation council.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's but yes, I mean he probably has some special thing, but certainly he has no more jurisdiction. He's no more in charge there than they are. And when it comes down to ability to enforce, they've got him beat.
Yeah. I think, to me, the biggest takeaway from that scene is Ao's line after she shuts the arm off, which is, "Bast damn you, White Wolf."
Ah.
And it's like, I think Bucky's going to have to show up on the Wakanda doorstep with Zemo in tow to repair this relationship problem.
Yeah.
To repair the damage that he did.
So, I saw somebody, by the way, use a Simpsons clip. And I think it was from the episode where Lisa gives the Valentines to Ralph. And Bart's like, if you go frame by frame, you could see the exact moment where his heart breaks. And they used it for the moment that Walker says they weren't even super soldiers. Yes,
that moment. That's the moment he decided to take the serum. It had, and I'm glad they did, because if he took it after Lamar was killed, you can understand that.
Yeah,
you could sympathize with it. but he took it because he got his ass kicked. It was a selfish reason. And that is the character they've been building. So just when he takes the serum is very important.
And his talk with Lamar in the train station was it was him trying to justify his decision.
Yeah. Well, justify or make the decision, but I think
I think you're right. Already chosen, but then he was like, I should at least run it past a hypothetical.
Yeah.
He and Bucky should get along better. They love hypotheticals.
Yeah. Jamal brings up, he says, they could change what the Thunderbolts are for a series on Disney Plus.
That's true.
And that Zemo could end up leading an anti-Avengers team like the Masters of Evil, since the name is problematic. Yeah, I don't think they'll actually use the term Masters of Evil because that's a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
I could see Zemo putting team together, but I think they are going to go for the Thunderbolts, but I think you're more likely to have somebody like U.S. Agent on there than to do the original true Thunderbolts, which was Zemo putting these villains together to pretend to be heroes. You know, where this is going to be more what they did later, where Thunderbolt Ross was running it, and he brought in people like Winter Soldier was on it for a while.
Because if they didn't have Zemo run a team of villains between the snap and the return, which would have coincided to the Avengers being all the heroes being missing.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the time to do it when everybody was gone. And then, but see, that's the thing. He's not power hungry. He's not greedy. He's wrong-headed and he thinks he's justified.
Right.
But he's not, that's why he's different than the comic Zemo is. He's not looking for power. He's not looking to be in charge.
Yeah. He's not out trying to profit for greed. He's not trying, he spent time hunting Hydra, who was a bad organization, and he spent time trying to bring down the Avengers, who he saw as a bad organization that caused the destruction of his home country. So,
although again,
motivations are, go ahead.
If he wants to go for Tony Stark, I'm all for that. It wasn't the Avengers' fault that Ultron was around.
True. But, his thing was, and he didn't even try to kill any of them, the Avengers. Yeah. He tried to get them to break themselves up, destroy them from the inside. So,
Yeah.
I'm having a harder and harder time believing Zemo's a bad guy at this point.
Yeah. Although Zemo going down the drain in the bathroom like a POS.
Yeah. Like El Chapo.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed and then everybody just kind of splits off. I'm really disappointed we didn't get to see that Battlestar logo.
Yeah, true.
But in the train station, that's when Lamar says power just makes a person more themselves, right? And I don't think historically that's necessarily correct.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a bastardization of what Erskine said.
Yeah.
Erskine.
Yeah. Right. The serum amplifies people, but just power can twist people horribly.
Jamal reminds me, Zemo did kill people on his way to break up the Avengers. He did blow up the UN and caused the death of Chaka.
Yes, and he killed the guy whose place he took to
Joe Russo.
Yeah. So yes, it's not like Zemo is. I agree with some of his. You can feel some of his arguments, but yeah, he's an unrepentant assassin.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
I'll give you that.
Yeah. So
all right. So we move on to Carly calling. Is it Sherry? Is that Falcon's sister's name? Sarah. And to me, that was the over the line.
Also, Steve's mom's name. So
Save Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes,
Okay.
save Sarah. Yeah, we need that moment.
Yes.
We
Yeah. To me, that's where Karli went over the line.
Universe to the level of the DC extended universe.
Karli calling Sarah. Sarah had the greatest line, one of the best lines, with the "My country doesn't care about me. Why should I care about its mascot?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And trust me, Sam is not working for that guy. But Karli crossed the line there. And it's more than just saying specifically she knew where Sarah was standing at that moment and threatened her kids by name.
Oh yeah, it was pure mafia shit. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, it said, hey, it would be a shame if your kid's coming home from St. Aloysius along 54th Street. God.
Yeah, Sam, if you don't want to come meet me on your own, then I could always go down and meet your sister and her kids. And
yeah.
That was.
By the way, one thing, and you're right about her crossing line, but did it also bother you that Karli says, I'm going to give you coordinates? And then Sam's like, oh, she left a phone number. That seems like a definite editing glitch.
Yes.
That there was going to be more to it there. And then they went, oh, we don't have time for that. So it's like, go back.
Well, there was a scene where Sarah goes, I don't know nothing about coordinates. Send me a goddamn phone number.
Yeah.
And that would have taken care of it right there.
But it just like, it's because she specifically, again, I checked on the second watch through. I'm like, that's not coordinates. That's a phone number. So,
yeah, I'm trying just to suspend disbelief, but I'm catching stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But so Sam, of course, I love the fact that Bucky's like, I'm going with you. There's no argument. There's no, she said to come alone. It's like, yes.
Yeah. She also has 7 friends that,
6 at that point. One died in the second episode.
Ah, good point.
Yeah.
Yes. The stupid one.
Yes. I will stop them catching their bullets.
But boy, talk about, I mean, Karli is rather flat out gaslighting Sam. Oh, I wouldn't really hurt your family. I just want to understand you better. I wanted to understand if threatening your family would make you come after me.
Yes. Yeah, that was some serious gaslighting. And of course, Sharon, hey, Sam, Walker's on the move. Now, somebody asked, how was she tracking Walker? And I kind of wonder if she's using the Hayward method of tracking the vibranium in the shield.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. I mean, theoretically, she might have just tracked Walker from a place where they were together.
Yeah.
And she just, but by the way, I love that she called him New Cap because it reminded me of New Coke.
Yes, it did. It did me as well. New Coke. So
I thought it was interesting that Karli made the comment about Sam wasn't hiding behind the shield. Which I don't believe that's ever what Steve was doing.
Right.
And Walker, it kind of fits him simply because it's like his security blanket at this point.
Yes.
Like, look, I'm Captain America. I've got the shield and everything.
Yeah. But it's like that guy that gets promoted to the office manager and he's not any good at it.
Yeah.
I'm the office. See, my name is on this door.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and then we get to Sharon going like, and then I love when Sam is just like, I'll send you the coordinate. They just were like, oh, they're going after Walker. And despite the fact that he's a total ass, off they go. Despite Karli trying to stop Bucky.
By the way, did you notice in the scene with the satellites, Sharon has a split lip and it looks like like bruises on her hands, which could have come from the fight at the container storage units. But when she's walking through with the phone, all those guys in the graffiti area, no split lip.
I did not notice that. I noticed the split lip, but it didn't register that earlier she had been fine. So
yeah. So either they reshot that scene and forgot to give her the split lip, or there's a scene where she gets her ass kicked somewhere in between.
Yes. Or takes a few shots while kicking somebody else's ass.
Yeah.
But
Jamal agrees. He says, yeah, Walker needs the shield as proof to everyone and himself.
Yep. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I do find it interesting that when they realize that Walker might be in trouble, they immediately head out, and Karli tries to stop them, and they just kind of go, yeah. And just, Karli's no real threat.
Not on her own. Her own. I mean, especially not to Bucky, who's, again, had a lifetime.
Yeah.
Of, he's
and
his
Falcon
Rangers.
Fought aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, he was a Ranger. He was a Howling Commando. He was an assassin. And then, he helped repel the Thanos, stuff. So yeah, he's not going like, oh no, I know because and that's the thing too. Like on that truck scene, they didn't know that they were super soldiers until they started. Yeah,
and there was a lot more of them.
Yes. Well, plus I guess initially they did. Bucky didn't realize Karli in the truck didn't realize she was the super soldier, and by then she had kicked him into the other truck.
Right.
So, but I was going to say, as Walker and Lamar are going in, like, I think the first definite sign that we know Walker has taken the serum is when he plants the shield in the concrete.
Yeah.
Like, then it's like, oh, there's no more question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he kicked, though it did seem to me when he kicked the front door open with the gun out and the shield and Lamar, I mean, this was calling back to First Avenger, the scene where he and the commandos are
going into the factory. Yeah.
Yeah. It's supposed to be reminiscent of that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah. And why is Walker getting distracted and losing his partner?
Yeah. I see, and I think Walker's got issues that he was dealing with, but yeah, the fact that, like, why is Lamar going up the stairs?
Yeah, by himself. And why is Walker not only stopping but putting his gun away too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Walker's got more issues than Mile High Comics, okay?
Yeah.
He's got some problems.
And then as Sam is coming in, and all of a sudden Dovich comes flying out, and both pretty much Sam and Dovich at the same point are like, oh.
What did you do?
Yeah. What'd you do, John? We never got we missed the part in the fight with the Dora Milaje. Looking strong, John. Oh, Bucky.
Yeah.
That was cold.
Brian asks, do they take the shield from Walker? And, I might have at first said yes, but nowadays in the Teflon world where you just don't admit you did anything wrong, I don't know if the government will, at least not right away. I think it might need to escalate.
Yeah, they'll. The initial thing it will be, this was a terrorist. He was, doing this.
He just murdered his best friend.
Yeah, they'll. I think they'll, but they may play it where they like bench him for a while. They say, we gotta make you sit down until the heat is off, and Walker won't do it.
Yeah, that is possible, but I get the feeling that the government will back him at first.
Yeah.
Because that's
only
kind of
left.
Yeah.
So that'll be,
It doesn't seem like there's going to be enough, does it? There's so
really
much left.
Yeah, but oh, they
I agree, Brian, that he's going to get I think he'll be rebranded as U.S. agent by the end of this.
right, and I think that he will become literally more of an agent. He'll be a secret weapon.
Yeah.
He'll have the black uniform, and he'll be the guy that they send in on to take care of
Covert.
things. Yeah, covert. Yeah.
Agreed.
By the way, you were talking about Sam and Bucky kind of brushing off Karli. I also think as Bucky is coming in to the building, the big super soldier forgets that taking the serum does not turn you into a soldier / fighter.
Yes.
Because like Bucky was done with him pretty quick. Again, because he's like,
stay down.
I love you, stay there.
Yeah.
But he's this big guy, and you think, oh man, it's going to be a big fight, and Bucky's just sort of like, because again, years of experience. So
I thought the fight we got was excellent.
Yeah,
I liked seeing the souped up Walker. I loved the way Falcon was moving. Seeing Bucky really let loose because now he knew he was fighting super soldiers.
Right.
But he still wasn't trying to kill anybody. So the ex-assassin is being a little more calm.
Yeah.
But when Lamar got free, ran in, and then got punched, and he hit that pillar.
And he saved John's life because Karli was ready to, and then, that kick was just, and I think Karli was not thinking, she's like, oh, we're in a super fight.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to her, oh, wait, this guy's just a regular guy. I don't think she intended to kill him.
Or she thought Lamar took the serum too.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it all got broke. So, but when you see him hit, for just a second, you're like, okay, maybe he's okay. When the extra head lunge or the head falls, you're like, oh no, he done.
Yeah. You know what, though? Man, I'm curious, though. I'm curious if there's going to be some sort of a crazy thing. Like, his back was broke, but, they do some sort of a process on him.
I think there's a
difference between your back being broken and your spine being severed. But he looked pretty darn dead.
Yeah, he looked dead.
Yeah.
And I think this is their version of in the comics where Walker's parents are killed by the Watchdogs.
Could be.
Because that was the snapping moment for him in the comics.
Yeah.
And we don't get to meet his parents. They don't have time to introduce his parents and set up that storyline.
His wife.
Yes.
I was kind of expecting that maybe they would go after his wife. But because I flat out did not see Lamar biting it. I just did not.
No, neither did I. And that poor guy, because I really liked that character.
Yeah.
And I know that I watched it like midnight and was laying in bed watching it and sat up on the edge of the bed like, oh no, Lamar. And my mind starts racing like, this is all going to go real ugly real fast.
You know what I'm wondering? In the comics, for a while, Walker was like talking to his mom. Like,
you think he's going to be talking to Lamar?
I wonder if they'll have Lamar and he'll be like, sort of like you said, the Jiminy Cricket, except he's not actually there.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I don't think anybody was surprised what happened next. Maybe how violent it was and that it was on a Disney Plus show.
I for a second there, I thought and because it looked like he was bashing his chest to start with. But when they go back to show it, they never show his head. And when I see the shield like that, I remember Captain America
Civil War.
Killing Baron Blood.
Oh, I was thinking in Civil War where he brings it down on Iron Man's arc reactor.
Oh, okay. No, I was thinking because in there was a story arc where he kills a vampire, he decapitates the vampire
Yes,
with the
I
edge of
remember
his
that.
shield, and
Yes.
and I think you were supposed to like have that. Like, did he not? Like, because
Yeah.
the reactions from people
Oh yeah.
were and now we get why it was called The Whole World Is Watching.
Because they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
that
him just standing, and he's just standing there with a bloody shield, kind of looking like what?
Yeah. But his hand, if you watch that scene, he's standing there with a bloody shield. His hand is twitching.
No.
There it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you see that he is adrenaline filled and he's just raging still. If there was another flag smasher that he could see, he would immediately go after them and kill them.
Yeah.
That he wasn't done.
No.
You know?
No.
That
the note that I made is he looked rabid.
Yes.
Like he was full on mad dog. He was just yeah. And I'm almost surprised he didn't like start smacking phones out of people's hands, except that it would have spoiled the dramatic moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just he was gone.
Yeah. I'm curious though, because how do you follow that scene? Where do you time jump? Do you like not pick up from there next week? Do you just move on? Because how do Bucky and Sam react to that point? Do they try to calm him down? Do they walk away? If you're Sam and Bucky and you're standing there and just saw this guy decapitate an unarmed man, basically, or just a guy who was literally giving up.
And
how
it was
do you
interesting.
respond?
It was really interesting, though, too, that Nico was like, I didn't do it. Which he didn't, but it's sort of like, yeah, but it's not like you haven't done nothing. You know,
well,
I mean, which is not a death sentence.
Well, what he's done is he's stolen stuff and he took the serum, but we haven't seen any of them do violence. I mean, they fought heroes that were coming after them, but the only one to kill anybody is Karli. Well, she blew up the building.
She blew up the building and she killed Lamar.
Right. So the only one who's actually killed anybody.
They don't know that. They don't know that Karli is the one that specifically Karli blew up the building.
Right. But having Captain America's shield doesn't make you the executioner or judge, jury, and executioner.
I totally agree with you. I just thought it was funny how, and I think a good piece of writing that he reverted from the, you know, they are all pretty got a little bit of self-righteousness going on in the Flag Smashers. But I thought it was really good writing that his immediate reaction was, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah. 10, 15 years ago, I would have said that the next thing that happens is they take the shield away from Walker. But this show has been writing from a modern day point of view on every aspect that I don't see where we are as a country right now, it being so black and white, that there are going to be people who come out on Walker's side and think that he did the right thing.
Yeah. Although, see, that's why I think, because of when it was written and filmed, I think that what they will do is the official word will be "you're benched." And Walker won't accept that because he's still going after Lamar's killer. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, most killer cops, they get, you're, you know, suspended with pay until there's been an investigation.
Yeah.
And again, like you say, he was unarmed. It'll be interesting to see which one.
I think it's going to come down that he was a super soldier. He was part of a terrorist group. Cap did the right thing. I think that's going to be the word out of the GRC. That's how they're going to spin it. And I don't think they're going to take the shield away. I think it's going to have to escalate into something much bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that they have to do a time jump.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to spend half of the episode with Bucky and Falcon like trying to talk Walker down and take him in.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Of course they also they might have scattered trying to find something, or Sam might have flown Lamar to a hospital. Depending how, because again, Sam, maybe he rigged up a neck brace and flew him to a hospital because
true. Sam is the rescue guy, so even if he's gone, maybe
right. Well, paramedics usually will show up and they'll check everything before they decide somebody's dead.
Right.
They don't just go like, "Hey, it seems pretty dead to me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're 2 episodes away from the end. Or basically, we got the penultimate episode and then the finale, and that's how are they going to clean up all of these questions, or are they? I mean, we've got the Isaiah Bradley thing. Do we even get back to Isaiah? We've got the power broker identity. We've got what's going on with Sharon Carter. We've got the Flag Smashers. We've got Walker. And we've got Zemo on the run. There's 6 things right there that need to be figured out. And how do you do that in 2 hours?
Practice? No. Carefully. No. It's going to be rough. I think everybody's going to have to converge somewhere.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Flag Smashers flee to Madripoor.
Brian reminds us there's also the GRC you got to deal with.
Yeah, we have no idea what the GRC is other than they're the GRC.
Yeah.
God, there's a lot of stuff going on.
And taking Malcolm Spellman to his word, there is supposed to be a cameo coming up in the 5th episode. It's supposed to be an emotional episode. And the cameo in the 5th episode, as you said earlier, is supposed to be an MCU character we have not met yet, but it's an established character. And it's supposed to be someone who is not currently set up in another film. So it's not like they're introducing someone that's going to show up soon. They're just bringing this new character who is supposed to be played by a well-known performer. What in the hell any of that means? And how this is... Spellman said that this will be the emotional episode and that the character is somebody who's grounded, but he would like to deal with like a cosmic level person like Thor.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so much to...
Yeah, I'm just floored that because like there's so many little bits to that some it's the established comics character, known performer. Now I'm not sure that the cameo is going to tie in with the emotion,
right? The emotion could be dealing with Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah,
to me, that's the emotional story in this.
Yeah, and I cannot see Spellman leaving Isaiah out of it.
Yeah,
I just can't see it. That's because otherwise, why bring him in?
Yeah, and you don't bring in Carl Lumley to play the character and put him in older makeup.
Yeah.
You could have brought in a lot of different actors. You could have put Morgan Freeman in the role.
Yeah. There is so many loose threads that but of course one of the things is we may not realize how many of them tie together.
Right. Sharon's issue could deal with the power broker, which could deal with the GRC. The GRC could be part of the power broker, could be part of the I mean,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are so many ways it could be connected that it's almost too much to try to really, at least in WandaVision, we got some bizarre guesses.
Yeah.
This is just wide open.
Yeah. Normally I could at least come up with some wild conjecture, but yeah, there's just, I have a feeling that we're going to learn that the GRC is not quite as beneficent as
benevolent, definitely
pretending to be. But
definitely not.
Like, are they an MCU organization? Yeah, or a Marvel Comics organization? Are they? Well, they can't be AIM because AIM was something else. I don't think they're Hydra because that's just going back to the well again.
The power broker's MODOK.
I'm wondering if the power broker will end up turning out to be Dr. Faustus.
I thought about Faustus today.
I think you mentioned him before because he had a lot to do with Sharon's disappearance in the comics. And
but he did show up in Agent Carter, and right now it seems like Feihe is trying not to touch anything from the other shows.
I don't know that. Was it actually Faustus in Carter, or was it just a guy?
It was Faustus.
Yeah, they never. I don't think they used the name. But
I thought they did. They did at the very end.
Okay. Brian has a point. That he may indeed. But of course, he can't be the cameo because he's well established.
Well, he can't be. Yeah, he can't be the cameo we're talking about.
Yeah, he could certainly show up. I'll be disappointed if we don't see Rhodey again.
Yeah,
because I mean, but again, not not a, he doesn't fulfill any of the other criteria. But like, I would love to see a scene with Sam, Rhodey, and Isaiah.
Yes.
I just that would be an interesting thing. Did we ever actually No, that wouldn't work. I was thinking about Bill Foster, but he actually appeared but did not show up as Goliath.
Right. He didn't get named, but he appeared in the second Ant-Man movie.
Right. And Brian makes a point about the GRC seeming to be they're at least cooperating with the American military, because supposedly Walker and Hoskins are working under their aegis.
Yeah. I assume that it's like a UN-based thing, but America's on the Security Council and tends to kind of lead when the UN does something anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that Captain America and Battlestar were just peacekeeping forces.
Yes.
Absolutely. And now Nico is in pieces.
Kept in pieces.
Good Lord.
Yeah. That ending. So
and
let's see.
That worm's eye shot of Walker was just
Throw it out to Brian and Jamal and whoever else is still online. What was your guys' reaction to that final scene with, Walker just going nuts and then the blood on the shield? I mean, I literally sat there just stunned for a moment. I know Walker from the comics. I know this was a very good likelihood, and it still surprised me. It still shook me, that violent of a scene, and just how well Wyatt Russell pulled it off.
And the blood on the shield, we've seen it battle damaged and all that stuff, but just that big smear.
Yeah.
It just was like,
that was. Yep. I think a lot of us did that. That was probably more my actual reaction was just repeating that over and over again.
Yeah. There was just definitely that moment of, did that just happen? Yeah. And it was kind of, Disney Plus was like,
oh yeah,
especially with, even though he's a bad guy, taking the Captain America guy and going there on Disney Plus, making him just flip out entirely.
Oh yeah. But I mean, we haven't seen that kind of scene in any of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Even something like the end of Doctor Strange, where Baron Mordo is crunching that guy, taking that guy's magic and kind of deforming him again.
Yeah.
It's played more off scene, and they do all and this was off scene, but the blood part of it doesn't normally show up.
Yeah. I think part of it is, of course, we saw Karlis shot earlier this episode. I think part of it is that it hits harder because the Captain America movies, despite all the big crazy sci-fi elements, there's still a certain amount of groundedness to them.
Yeah.
That no one's flying. Well, Falcon's flying, but no one's flying under their own power. No one's like throwing people around with their mind.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But Clone Wars was brutal at times. Star Wars has blood. X-Men curse, but this was pushed to the edge of PG-13. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
This was just violent and necessary for the character. I think they did it as classy as they could and still get the point across. If we didn't see the blood on the shield and we didn't see the blood on his hand when his hand opened, it wouldn't have come across as strong. But it wasn't to the point of just gross for gross sake or gore for gore's sake.
Yeah, we didn't go to a crane shot where we see the body and the head.
Yeah, this wasn't directed by Rob Zombie,
Yeah.
Where the head pops up, flips over, and lands in the hands of the statue and behind him.
Yeah. Or rolls to the feet of some of the people standing there who run shrieking or something.
Rolls to Falcon's feet, reminding him that he should never have given up the shield.
Yeah, there's going to be I'm wondering how Bucky is going to deal with that with Sam.
Yeah. See, now that's an interesting point. It's not Invincible or The Boys, but that was about as much of a Homelander moment as we're going to get in the MCU, I think.
I think that's true. It's not. That's also one of the reasons why I prefer the MCU to Invincible or The Boys. Of course, I'm an old. I'm going to be older than Dan. I'm not a big fan of bloody, cussy, bone-shattering superheroes.
Yeah.
Which is why this worked for me, because it was shocking.
Yeah. And the fact that we didn't get a ton of blood and gore in other parts of the series makes this more effective.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, gunshots are gunshots to the, even super soldiers, gunshots are gunshots. And
oh, yeah.
But yeah, we don't get, even the guy who ran into the hail of bullets, we didn't see, it wasn't like a, like a Tarantino,
Yeah.
He wasn't jerking and blood splurting everywhere.
Even when Quicksilver was killed in Avengers Age of Ultron,
yeah.
we saw the blood spots, but there wasn't a whole, seeing him actually hit or, the bullets coming through or, they keep that pretty tamed down. And I think they only upped it a little bit here because they needed it for emphasis.
Yeah. Boy, howdy. We went over 2 hours today. It's a good thing we didn't have a guest.
That's what I was thinking. Does the guest keep us on track, or does the guest? would
think
have just been much longer.
we can't expect a Paul Storrie review of A House of a Thousand Corpses. Probably not. Probably not. Although I did once name a Justice League Adventures story after a Rob Zombie tune. Which was more human than human. So
I had a buddy of mine once referred to that as more humid than Houston, and now I can't get that damn saying out of my head.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, yeah. No splattering, true, but there's no need to go there in the MCU. And that's the point. Yes, MCU doesn't need to go that gory. Right. It went as far as it needed to and got the point across.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see more. Well, I'm hoping we don't see a lot more of that, even with John going off the deep end.
I don't think they need to. I think they could dance around it now. I think the odds are is somebody innocent is going to end up dead because of Walker, and that's where they'll pull him down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just think that in today's world, you need that what he's done so far can be PR spun away.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a chance that they'll give him another medal.
Yeah,
as he stopped one of the dangerous flag smasher terrorists.
Exactly. So
I did think as terrorists. I thought it was disingenuous that Karlis was all like, "Well, we're revolutionaries if you look at it from some point of view." Well, you were until you decided you were blowing up
innocent people and threatening people's families and
and the fact that she was justifying to Sarah, whom she was trying to intimidate. Oh, we're not terrorists. We're just trying to terrorize you.
Yes. Yeah. We're not terrorists. By the way, we know exactly where you're standing and who your children are.
It was just, anyway, but so we should probably wrap this up because people are probably,
Yes, we absolutely should. Next week, I don't have a plan. I don't know what's going to happen. My gut tells me we're going to deal with Isaiah. That's the emotional connection, but might not be. It could be 1,000 other things. It could be Bucky. We still got to deal with the Yuri thing.
Oh yeah. Well, honest, is it not Yuri? Yuri? Yeah.
Yuri, the old Asian guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I Yuri to me is a Russian name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the government can make those same threats. Yeah. True. History is written by the victors. By the way, Andrew will be our guest next weekend. Andrew will be joining us next Sunday.
You are correct on both counts, Andrew. Although, again, we're in the modern world where like 25, 30 people filmed Walker executing this guy on the steps.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy for him, but they could definitely spin it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isaiah has super blood to use if they bring him back. Yeah, they could start pulling from Isaiah again and start the whole thing. Nagel figured it out. Somebody else could.
And,
But then they could take blood from him.
Sam and Bucky stopping anybody from trying to use Isaiah.
Yeah, but then I don't think Walker would stop the government from taking his blood at this point.
That's true. I think he would be happy to. And of course, Steve
gave blood.
Yeah, they took. In First Avenger, they took all sorts of stuff. They just couldn't isolate it.
Right. All right, we're going to keep going on and on, I think, if we don't stop here.
Yes. And stop.
Yeah. This is the second longest one since the debut of the series. So please join us next Sunday for, as we'll talk about the 5th episode, where who the hell knows what it's going to be. Yeah. But we'll be joined by Andrew Goggin, who will be back, and Paul will be with us. And hopefully you'll be with us, all of you watching now.
Yes. And bring your friends.
Yeah, bring your friends. I will be doing the pre-show. I will do the pre-show Thursday night again beforehand. I will also do my review about noon on Friday. And that's going to be it. Paul, folks can find you at Storyville just about everywhere.
At Storyville on Twitter or Storyville.com.
Yep. One last thing from Andrew. He says, yeah, Walker basically assassinated an unarmed man, decapitated with the symbol of America. Yep.
How could that go horribly wrong?
I know. Jamal says, see you next time. And of course, Brian says, thank you again. Thank you, Brian and Jamal, for joining us. It was a pleasure having you guys and having you participate.
Appreciate it.
Everybody, please have a great week, and we will see you soon. Good night.
Night.